The new snapshot is out and it's pretty cool. So that's why we are doing this video today. Today we're going to be looking into all of the things that have been added into the snapshot. There is a couple of things behind me, as you can probably tell, and boy oh boy is it exciting. But welcome everyone, my name is Graffitzi and today we're going to be taking a look at how these changes will affect building in Minecraft. I've got a lot of examples to show you, so that being said, let's get started. And I just realized that we are on the snapshot and I don't have Optifine, so give me a second. Now that my FOV is back to normal, we can start things off. So we have a whole bunch of things to cover, and since this is a snapshot video, we're going to be going over a couple of redstone things and a couple of technical stuff as well, but that's all just going to be very brief. This is mainly a build focused video. So that being said, let's get started. So the first thing we have is the lightning rod. This is a very special little thing. Not only is it looking absolutely wonderful, but it's very useful in the redstone department as well. So the way you get this thing is by using copper ingots, and you can craft these up very simple. Just need to put them up in a straight line like this, and you get a lightning rod. We will be going over how to get copper in just a moment. It is right over there. But for now, let's look into the building aspects of this thing. So this can be used to make a staff, or it can be used to make a candle stand, or it can be used to make something like this. This is the grandfather clock that I made, and then you can also use this thing right here. You can use it to make weapons and statues and things like that. So it's really cool, and also it protects your builds from getting struck by lightning. So if you have a wooden roof like I have here, then chances are, if you're playing on a survival world, if lightning comes and strikes your roof, everything will burn down. So to prevent that, you can use one of this. It attracts the lightning and basically prevents anything else from catching fire, provided that the blocks around it are non-flammable. So the next thing that we are going to look into is some of the more technical aspects with this, and the first thing that we're going to take a look into is a charged creeper farm design. So we know that the lightning rod pretty much attracts lightning, and one thing that we can do is summon some lightning bolts to test this out. So if I just summon a lightning bolt right here, it strikes the creeper and turns it into a charged creeper. So if you have a creeper farm, you can make it a charged creeper farm by doing this method, but you pretty much have to have a thunderstorm for it to be working. When the lightning rod is struck by a lightning bolt, it produces a output of 15 using a comparator. So it can be used to power some redstone components and also clocks, especially when you're using it for a farm. And that is the lightning rod. So let's move on to the next one, which is candles. Now this is a welcome addition to the game. Not only does it look cool, but it is pretty much really something that the builders have been asking for a while. So first off, let's start off with how you get this thing. So the only things you need to craft this thing is actually a honeycomb block and string. Arrange them in such an order and you will get a candle. If you want to dye them, you need the dye, put it in there, and it will pretty much become a candlestick that has been colored. You can arrange them in a bunch as so. This pretty much is the same as a sea pickle, but you can also waterlog these things underwater. However, they will not be able to light under the water. Now, as you can see here, you can group them in different orientations, and you can also use a flint and steel to light them up. Now, some build hacks that I have found so far is using an iron bar as a candle stand and also using the lightning rod as a candle stand. You can also use the red candles to kind of look like dynamite, because they kind of do, you know, they'll also look like fuses. So it's pretty cool to have that. You can also put a candle on top of a cake, but when you eat it, the candle will pop off. So if you want to wish your friends a happy birthday, that's how you do it in Minecraft. But you can also prank them. Anyways, let's move on to the next one. The next one is a welcome addition to the game, and that is the lava cauldron. So cauldrons can now be filled with lava. This is pretty useful, and I think you take damage when you fall into this. I'm not quite sure because I haven't tested it, but as you can see, I do get on fire. So that means this is kind of a deadly trap, but you need to make sure that you don't fall into it. But besides that, this is pretty useful because I can see this being used in a variety of different builds, such as a blacksmith. Someone would need a cauldron of molten metal, or they can show a person collecting lava as I have right here. Well, sort of, but you get the point. And the next one on our list is copper itself. Copper is pretty much the most exciting addition in this snapshot. So there is a lot of different variations, as you can see. Copper has several stages, and we are going to be going through each and one of them, starting off with the copper ore. So the copper ore is pretty much similar to the iron, but it looks different because it's got a different texture, and it also has this bit of orange design with some green on it, so that it's pretty much easily differentiable. Mining this will get you the ore itself, with or without silk touch. It doesn't matter, you have to smelt them to get the ingots. It's the same as iron. So one thing that I should mention that was said in the snapshot article was that the generation of the veins of these ores are not finalized, so it may be changing. But if we go into spectator mode and just go down here, it's really hard to find it in the open, but there is a lot just around here. It's quite common, kind of like iron and coal and stuff like that. As you can see, it spawned right next to gold this time, but the generation isn't final, so it may be different in the final release of 1.17. Now let's get on with some build hacks. One thing that I like about this that is really cool is that you can make it look like flowery vines, and it looks really nice, especially against a wall. Now obviously you don't have to use an entire copper wall over here. You can also use stone. I just did this to give you guys an example. But then we have the main blocks. So let's go over how to get these. So these are all the copper blocks that have been added into the game. To get these blocks, all you need to do is get yourself a copper block. How do you craft a copper block, you ask? Well, you need 9 bits of copper ingots and arrange them in the crafting bench, and you will get a copper block. Now this block is pretty much very useful. It's got this really nice color to it, but the thing is, it does change color over time. So the copper block originally has this orange lustrous texture over here, but over time it kind of erodes and becomes like this really nice little green texture that's over here. This happens over a course of 52 to 80 Minecraft days. It takes quite a while to reach even one of the stages. However, you can stop this thing from eroding any further by just taking the block itself, throwing in a honeycomb and the block, and you shall get waxed copper. Now the thing about this thing is that it does not erode over time. So you can pretty much stop it in any of these stages and leave it as it is, and it will look the same like every other block in Minecraft, which is pretty cool. And the final block that has anything to do with copper was the cut copper block. In order to get that, all you need to do is pretty much arrange them into a square shape in the crafting bench, and you get cut copper. Now this has a very nice texture. It looks very industrial, and it's the only block you can use to make slabs and stairs, which is kind of a bummer because I really like this and I wish that that had been, implemented into the game as well. But that's okay, and it looks really good. I think I can see more people going to build some steampunk or cyberpunk cities with these kinds of blocks. But as you can see here, we've also got some medieval builds right here. So I use a lot of blue in my roofs sometime. It's pretty evident from my Atomic Craft Season 1 shop Gmart. So what I did was basically use this exact combination but without copper, and I can tell you that it looked a little bit more plain, but now it looks a lot more textured because of the copper block. and I do like it a lot. It looks really nice and blends in really well with the other colors. But with that being said, guys, that is the copper block. Let's move on to the next one, which is the Amethyst Geodes. Now these things are underground structures that spawn every now and then in terrain generation. If we hop into spectator mode and just go down here and just fly around for a bit, you can see that they spawn quite frequently. So they spawn in a spherical shape and they are usually covered by 3 layers. So first off, you have the Tuff layer, which is a kind of stone. That is also a new block that was added into the game. It's got this really nice little texture, and I think it can help in making builds look way cooler. But then you have the Calcite block, which is a kind of polished diorite. If you look at it, it's got a really smudgy texture and it's really nice. I think it goes well with polished diorite and even white concrete, and it just, I don't know, it looks like ice cream. Food habits aside, let's take a look at the Amethyst Geode. So this is where the amethyst crystals are spawned. Now amethyst crystals can be found anywhere in the world, but they usually are grown with the budding amethyst block. The first one is the normal block of amethyst, which actually makes a tune when you place it down. And the second one is the budding amethyst. Now both of them make a tune when you place them down or you break them, but they do have their own differences. But we'll get to that in a second. Let's talk about the rest of these things. So the block of amethyst doesn't do much, it's just a decoration block. Meanwhile, the budding amethyst is something that will help you get these things. You can get the small amethyst bud, the medium amethyst bud, and the large amethyst bud from this one thing. So as long as there are air or water blocks on either side of this thing, it will grow and you will get yourselves some amethyst buds. Now it does take a while to grow, and the only way to actually farm them is by using a pickaxe, because they can't be waterlogged, though they can actually be moved using a piston. But yes, once they are fully grown, then you have the amethyst cluster. These are light emitters, and they are the ones that can be placed pretty much anywhere to give your build a more mystical look. And this is absolutely beautiful, and they also make sound, so there's an added bonus. So these blocks, these amethyst blocks, can be moved around, but not the buds. But if you break the bud with any tool, even with silk touch, it will be gone forever. It is kind of like a mob spawner, but it's, you know, non-lethal. That's pretty much it. You also need to get fortune to mine large quantities of these, and they are pretty much going to give you anywhere from 4 to 10 per item mined. Now I should also mention that breaking an amethyst crystal with fortune will give you the shards, and breaking it with the silk touch pickaxe will give you the amethyst cluster. So what can the amethyst crystals be used for then? Well, like I said, you can get an amethyst cluster and pretty much put them right next to your builds, and they look kinda like they're from, you know, medieval MMORPG games, and that's kind of a nice touch. But you can also use them to kind of showcase some builds. For example, you've got the rarest crystal in the world. Do not touch the glass. Now speaking of glass, we have the tinted glass variant right here. Now this is a special kind of glass because it does not allow light to pass through. So if I were to build something like this and go one over it, you can see that this has literally gone dark. Now I'm outside here and my light level is pretty much 15, but if I were to stand here and block myself in, my light level has gone down to 0. That's because this does not allow any light to pass through. So I don't know how useful it's going to be, but it does have a couple of building uses. You can definitely use it to kind of, you know, make a mob farm and look into it. It can pretty much act as two-way mirrors, if anything. I think it's got a really nice texture to it as well. So let's go over the crafting recipe for this particular block. All you need is a glass block and a couple of amethyst shards arranged in this particular order, and you shall get yourself a tinted glass block. So there's going to be plenty of building uses for this, but that's going to be it for now. I don't know if it's got any redstone uses as of yet, so let's move on and continue with the calcite and tuff. So as you can see here, we've got a wall of polished diorite, calcite and white concrete, and I think this is a very nice way of giving it some texture, and I really like it. I like the addition of the calcite block, and it looks really cool. So let's move on to the next one. You may be wondering why I'm heading into this building. Well, it's because this is my base, and as you can see, I'm kind of lacking storage. But oh, what have I got here? The bundle. Now this is a welcome addition into the game, only because it can store multiple items. So bundles allow you to store 64 items in it. It doesn't have to be a particular, item. It can be any item and any variety of items. So I can take anything and just chuck it in here, as long as it's not a non-stackable item, because you can only store one non-stackable item in a bundle. So to craft a bundle, you need some string and some rabbit hide. I wish they had actually made it leather, because then it would have been more useful and less expensive, because rabbits are kind of rare. But that is the crafting recipe, and that is the bundle. So we are over halfway through the video right now, and I hope you guys are enjoying it so far. And if you guys are interested in more content like this, a sub to the channel would be amazing. And the next addition to the game was this right here. This is Optifine in Minecraft. You can zoom in, and I think I really like it. It makes that really nice creaking noise when you zoom in. It's got a big silhouette though, and that's kind of sad, but even then I do like this thing. It looks really cool. You can also use it when you're having it in your offhand, which is pretty cool, and it's very easy to craft. So the crafting recipe, as you can see, is pretty simple. All you need is a couple of copper ingots and one amethyst shard, and you get a spyglass. So this is a pretty cool addition to the game, and I do really like how they animated it. It kinda looks very immersive, and that's pretty much what they've done. For those of you wondering what happens when you press F5 and look around, this happens. You can see that my dude pretty much is having the spyglass go inside his head. So yes, when you're using the spyglass, you also have an animation that makes it look like you're looking through it, which I think is such a nice touch into the game. But that is this wonderful thing right here. And finally, we have the shulker. I know this was not added in the snapshot, but one thing has been changed, and that is pretty cool. So if I was to go ahead and do that, you can see that this particular thing just duplicated itself. Now this is actually an added bonus of shulkers now. You can pretty much duplicate them when you hit them with a shulker bullet. So shulker farms are now a possibility. However, this does not happen all the time. It's kind of rare. I think it happens only like 1 in 20 times, because I tried this a lot and it sometimes took a lot of times. Other times it just happened instantaneously, like it did right now, and I was really lucky right there. But yes, as you can see, that is a pretty cool addition into the game. So that is everything that has been added into the game. There has been a couple of technical changes regarding terrain generation and stuff like that, and some bug fixes as well, and that will be linked in the description. There is an article linked in the description below if you guys want to read it. Oh, I forgot that I don't have Optifine again. 1 second. So yes, that is Snapshot 20w45a, and I can say that it has started building the hype for cave update. So I think we can guess, with this snapshot being released now, that the 1.17 update will be coming out at mid 2021. But I think it's going to happen sometime after the account migration from the Minecraft account to the Microsoft account, which is going to happen in early 2021. So guys, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you all did enjoy. If you want to see more, make sure to leave a like, and if you really loved it, make sure to subscribe. But this has been me, Graffitzi. I'm out, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.